Hello everyone, I'm Wendall Jones and welcome to this edition of the program Jones and Company. On this program we examine national, sometimes international issues, and today on our program we are going to be speaking about some issues that most Bahamians should know about, and indeed we are talking about Godfrey Enos's favorite topic, and it is agriculture. And in addition to agriculture, we are going to be talking about trade and some affairs relating to the Caribbean. Because we have as our guests on the program today, Barton Clark, who is the Executive Director of the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI. And joining him today is Michelle Singh, who is an animal scientist with CARDI, and we are told that she is going to be stationed or is stationed in Andros with the BAMSI project. And so it's a pleasure to have both of them here today. Mr. Clark has been here before, so most Bahamians would remember him. Lady, gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today.
Good afternoon all.
Thank you, Godfrey Enos.
Thank you.
You bring me good guests from time to time.
And it is important because for too long we have been outside of the Caribbean affairs. This is an example of deepening the integration process in the Bahamas. As CARDI being the premier research entity in the English-speaking Caribbean, we lack research capacity. And that is what CARDI is adding.
Yes. And Mr. Clark, as Executive Director, last time we spoke, the Bahamas had not signed on to the CARDI document. You are now, you have another member of your group, right?
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, everybody. The Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, in my mind, is fortunate to be in a position to welcome the Bahamas as the newest member of the CARDI family. CARDI family, of course, commenced back December the 5th, 1974, and we signed the accession document with the government of Bahamas in June of 2016. And we're in the process of establishing an office here, which will allow us something to provide services to the government and people of Bahamas, positioning ourselves to help Bahamas to do its job better.
Tell us what those services relate to.
They are going to be related to the whole issue of addressing food security, not only from a national context or perspective of the Bahamas, but from a regional perspective. And that would include looking at research and development services, conducting research in crops and livestock. In addition to that, providing services in the areas of economics and marketing and empowering of the farming community and the extension services, interfacing through partnerships with the national systems. One of our ethos is that we are going to be building an innovation platform which includes all of the entities that attend upon the food and agricultural sectors, whether it is the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Agriculture, the University College of the Bahamas, and the like. The issue is building that platform towards the solving national problems as well as to participate in the regional agenda. The Caribbean governments back in 2014 signed on to a CARICOM strategic plan which frames agriculture as one of the vehicles for social and economic enfranchisement. And that says that we are going to be far more in charge of our destiny, that food security is equivalent to national security, and that we need to tackle that $5 billion of food imports which attends upon the region. Whilst at the same time, getting agriculture to contribute to the gross domestic product, getting agriculture to contribute to employment, to alleviating nutritional issues, particularly those associated with chronic non-communicable diseases, getting agriculture to assist in adding value to those things which are Caribbean, be it goat pepper here in the Bahamas or Blue Mountain coffee in Jamaica, that we can establish some kind of Caribbean presence within the international marketplace that will allow us not only to assist in feeding ourselves, but feeding those tourists, giving them a culinary experience which is peculiar to the Caribbean.
Help a Bahamian understand this. We live next door to the United States of America. We get a whole lot of food from North America. A Bahamian might be asking, what difference does it make if the food that I get comes from next door in South Florida, or it comes from Jamaica or Trinidad? What difference does it make?
The difference is that when it comes from Andros or Long Island or from Trinidad and Tobago, we are supporting ourselves. Take the words of the President of Ghana, President Granger, who was the lead head responsible for agriculture within the CARICOM arrangement. And he says, and I quote, "If I take an accounting view, I will import every single thing that I need into the Caribbean, because invariably it is going to be cheaper. Not necessarily better, but cheaper. However, if I take an economic view, it means that I afford myself the opportunity for agriculture to generate employment, to circulate money in the economy, that we will be feeding ourselves, because we don't want to repeat of what happened during the Second World War. We don't want to repeat of what happened pursuant to 9/11, when the port in Miami was closed and our supermarket shelves were empty. That therefore, we have a responsibility to be able to position ourselves, to assist ourselves. Charity begins at home. And that we also have a responsibility to ensure that we revitalize our tourism industry, that an industry founded on the basis of sand and sea, that there's an opportunity for culinary and participating in the culinary explosion, that when they come here, that they participate in those things that we know to be good, that those things which in time of yore that provided adequate nutrition. We need to arrest this issue of chronic non-communicable diseases. The extent to which we import, and we are consuming lots of fried chicken, and we are consuming lots of wheaten stuff. Let us go back to eating some sweet potatoes and some yams and some cassava, because they're far better for us, and all of the doctors are attesting to that. Let us rebuild our coconut industry. Remember, coconut, the tree of life. We saw the decimation of our coconut industry as a consequence, and so on. Some argue of the soybean lobby. It is remerging, because as the doctors say, that coconut water is just as good as the fluid that they use for rehydration within the hospitals. That every part of the coconut and thing has some benefits. That we therefore need to support our own. And in fact, we can argue that when it comes to the issue of climate change, that there may be less of a carbon footprint when we utilize stuff produced domestically, as opposed and so on to importing stuff and expending energy there. That is why we need this agenda, and that is why part of our way forward is to encourage and to entreat people to support their own, to support their farmers, and to eat local.
Mr. Clark will tell you that some people may believe that the Bahamas does not factor into the regional agenda. We factor into the regional agenda. First of all, we're the most northern Caribbean island or state. And right now, I don't believe anywhere in the world bananas are being grown at this latitude. Am I right, Mr. Clark?
Indeed, that's the case.
And so we are integrated into the system. And I'm glad Mrs. Singh is here because CARDI has a program on small ruminants. And we are, in Andrews, expanding and improving the bloodline of the national herd of sheep and goats. And Ms. Singh, tell us what CARDI role would be in that.
Okay, thanks very much. From my understanding, BAMC is going to be the animal breeding center. So BAMC is going to be providing stock to farmers. So CARDI's role really with these small ruminants is going to be to encourage and develop reproduction and multiplication through assisted reproductive technologies like artificial insemination and embryo transfer. Those are the types of skills we would like to develop in the Bahamas so you can move your program faster.
And you're going to be using some of these animals down south in the Caribbean as well, that you would develop in the Bahamas?
Well, I think Bahamas has identified its own breeds of animals that they would like to work with based on the fact that I understand you all have some feral animals. So there's a best fit for every country. What performs best in the Southern Caribbean may not perform best in Bahamas. So part of the research and development will be to find the best fit for the Bahamas.
Mr. Clark, I've been speaking with a gentleman earlier today, and we were talking about trade in the Caribbean. And as much as Bahamians might wish to make themselves, well, use the products coming out of the Caribbean, whatever you produce in Trinidad or Barbados or Jamaica. The problem is getting the products to market, getting them to the Bahamas. It seems to me that we have a shipping problem in the region, and as a result, people in the Bahamas do not make themselves, well, they don't use products coming out of the Caribbean because of some trading problems that we have.
You're absolutely correct. In fact, saw an article from the Economic Commission of the United Nations last week, which suggested that over the last couple of years that the interregional trade has actually declined as opposed to where it is we want to go. And that a lot of the gains obtained in the previous 10 years may be eroded if we don't arrest this decline. And yes, transportation is a core issue. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than transportation, but transportation is a core issue. And believe you me, that is well recognized and so on by the heads of governments. I mean, almost every conference of the heads of governments, transportation in one form or another, whether it's about transporting people, so there's movement of people, or transporting goods, it is on the agenda. To that extent, the CARICOM Secretariat has a dedicated transportation desk, and where there are now proposals being fashioned with respect to being able to move goods and so on freely in that economic space and so on of CARICOM. We have Belize, where there have been some significant investments in citrus. So a lot of the citrus concentrate that is utilized to make manufactured juice in Trinidad or Guyana or Barbados comes out of Belize. Yes, the ships go down filled with citrus concentrate, and they kind of come back not as full as you would like them to. So yes, this is a core issue that has to be addressed. And it isn't that there isn't transport available, because when one understands that the Windward Islands, at some point in time, the government's made a strategic investment and purchased the geese lines. The geese lines that used to take the bananas up to Europe. Those lines now belong, those shipping lines now belong to the Caribbean. The bananas are not as plentiful. Those still move through the Caribbean. So there's this space that can be filled And that's part of the strategy going forward with produce from the Caribbean for the Caribbean. That necessitates dealing with one other element of the puzzle. And that element of the puzzle is to get the production going to fill that space. That's also part of the equation. And the other issue is to deal with the non-tariff barriers. Those barriers that float up from time to time in various member states, which inhibits the movement of the produce within the Caribbean. And there's an agricultural policy support program financed by the European Union in which that particular issue is being addressed. How do we get member states to remove these non-tariff barriers so that it allows for the full expression of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which essentially says that the goods from the Caribbean move free of duty throughout the Caribbean. So there are these plans afoot to arrest this particular problem, because I agree with you that transport is an issue, and that if we don't address the matter